people are tricky. And so just listening to the affirmation music, you don't have an opportunity, your doubting mind, to stop it. You just listen to it when you're in the car, you listen to it while you're cleaning your house, whatever you're doing, and it just goes into your subconscious mind.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. My new best friend, Michele, is with us today, and I am so excited. You know, sometimes we set our affirmations, we set our goals, and we set all these intentions that we want for our lives. And we go a little while and they kind of fade away. Well, if you're like me. So I can get on a path and then it gets old and I'm looking for something else. But how do we make it so these things stick, so our lives become the most beautiful lives possible that we can have? And Michele's here to give us some tips about how to even make these things that we do already more powerful, more able to really help us. And how she learned to do this is she set her affirmations to music and was able to heal herself. And it's like, oh, I'm so excited to hear this. So Michele, welcome. Before we get started, I'm going to take a quick word from our sponsor. We'll be back. Help me keep my momentum. We'll be right back. Hey, since I rarely have openings in my coaching schedule, I have a new resource out there on my website. It is called the BFF Coaching Network. And I have offered a spot there for any coach that has been on this show to list their coaching. You can go out there, you can listen to their episodes, you can feel a little bit about them, and then choose a coach that will work for you. So LaraJaneLayton.com, the BFF Coaching Network. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today, Michele. The information about you is in the show notes. So help me figure out how to stay moving forward and quit being held back.
Yeah, well, it's really challenging in this day and age because there's so many things that distract us, even though we've got to stay focused on what we're doing. And so what is important, the mind is so powerful. And I think with a busy life and having to stay focused on, like multiple things at once, like we're all drummers now, all these women. So we have to be able to focus on feeding the mind positivity so that we can uplift everyone around us, our children, our loved ones, our workers, whoever we're working with. And of course, number one, you've got to do it yourself. Put the oxygen mask on yourself first. So that's why I think the mind, people don't understand, even though neuroscience has proven it now, how positive thought affects our health, our body, our outcome, our stress levels, everything. So when you feed your body, but people forget to feed their mind the positive, uh, in, you know, affirmations and just beautiful sayings to themselves that they always put on the back burner, particularly women that are busy with kids and career and everything. They're the first ones to say, oh, me later. But no, oxygen on yourself first, my darlings, my darling, listening, watching.
You hear that, put your own oxygen mask on all the time. And you go, well, it only takes a second to just get the others done. But really, when you think about it, it's not just the oxygen, but it's like if you don't stop to fill yourself up with gas, you're going to run out. And, you can't run out. And it's just those little reminders of do you first so you can actually have the energy and the thoughts to go forward. And you were talking about we feed our bodies. You think about if you watch TV or listen to the radio, we're jam-packed of advertisements about food, but nobody talks to us about feeding our souls and our minds and how do we ingest that positivity. So how are you able to turn off all those negativity things outside of you and turn on that positivity light
Well, that's a great question, Laura Jane. Well, I was a rock singer in Australia, if I could just tell
Yes,
everyone a little
backstory is
bit about
great.
yeah, I was a rock singer. I had, huge audiences. I'd worked since I was 5 on television. Eventually, after many years, I got together the best band ever. We got a great record label, Time Warner. We were doing our rock videos. We were touring with The Pretenders and In Excess and all these huge bands that were, and then we had our own, following. So we would have bands that were our support bands. And so everything was going great. And then I was in a truck driving from Brisbane to Sydney with all the musical equipment after a gig, and the truck driver fell asleep when we got to Sydney, which is about 14-hour drive. And as the passenger, all the musical equipment, when we crashed, went into me. I won't even go into how badly damaged my entire body was. Huge amounts of broken bones, and because of all the broken bones, organs and stomach and everything smattered with shattered bone. So I was in the hospital for months and months and months and months. Now, you would think that that would be the worst thing that could happen to a singer who's on the stage doing backflips and God knows what, and jumping on big speakers and, loved my life, had worked extremely hard to get to where I was with my band. And so, why was that the best thing that ever happened to me? It was because it took me, my trajectory, it took me onto a new path where I saw all the experience I'd had since I was 5 being on TV, all that experience of being on stage, managing my band, using my willpower, working, one stage, 7 years nonstop on the road, hiring the road crew, huge amount of work, plus singing all night every night. And all that experience, how that assisted me to now do what I do. And it all started with an affirmation song that no one else had ever done in the world before. This is in the 80s. No one had done affirmations to music. And I was listening to, in the hospital, something that everyone was sending me stuff to listen to. And I wasn't interested, but I couldn't turn it off because I couldn't move. I'm on a steel plated bed in traction most of the time in between all these operations. And I was listening. Do you know the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Laura
Yes,
Jane?
yes.
Well, someone put that on. Now, why would a young female Australian singer be interested in listening to male USA entrepreneurs in the 1920s? I had no interest in that. Who cared? Nothing to do with rock and roll, not in my periphery at all. But there was one chapter where Napoleon Hill was speaking about his little infant son was born completely deaf. And he did auto-suggestion, which now we call affirmations. And he would go into his little son's room every night and say, "You hear perfectly. You grow up to be this amazing, beautiful soul, this wonderful man, successful, compassionate." And the little boy, by the time he was 4, got 30% of his hearing back, which wasn't physically possible, impossible. And Laura Jane, when you hear something for the first time and you feel in the marrow of your bone that you have just heard something that's true,
Mhm.
well, that's what happened to me. So I said, "Great, I'm going to do an affirmation. I'm going to do an auto suggestion." And he said, Napoleon Hill said, "You just say it in the now. You've got to emotionalize it so it go into the subconscious mind," which, little note, FTY, neuroscientists have proven now that short-term memory, if your doubting mind gets in the way, blows it out of your mind and it doesn't go into the treasury of your subconscious mind. And so I couldn't emotionalize it, Laura Jane, because of the fact that I was in physical agony, passing out all the time in the pain, even though I was on strong pethidine drips and all the rest of it, because there was so much damage to my body. So every time I went, "I am healed. I know I am. I love myself. I am my friend. The healing light surrounds me. I'm healed." My doubting mind kept saying, "That is absolute rubbish. I don't believe you." So I could never go into my subconscious mind. So I stopped doing it because affirmations wouldn't go into my subconscious mind. I couldn't emotionalize it. So do you want to know what happened next? Drum roll.
Dun, 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 dun.
And so I said, "Okay, put the cassette on. I'm going to sing some." And so I just started singing, "I am healed. I know I am. I love myself, I am my friend. And I sang it until the cassette was full. And I listened to it over and over again. And later, I found out what was happening when I worked with Bob Proctor for years. He was like, that's miraculous that that happened because the left side of the brain was taking in the lyrics, the affirmation, and the right side, the melody. Even though there wasn't any music yet at that stage, there was still melody. So I was going straight into my subconscious mind. And within a month of listening to it nonstop, I started seeing possibilities again. And wow, even if I can't walk again or walk again properly, I can still sing, I can produce, I can write music. I started seeing the positive, and that is how my my life changed. And I started doing affirmation songs, hundreds of them. And now they've been listened to millions upon millions of times, different languages all over the world, because the affirmation music works.
Yes, it does. That's beautiful, though, and it was even like, can I get a copy of that? I mean, it was like, I wanna listen to that over and over again. Does it
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna give your listeners and you listening, watching, and, my Songs for Success album is my favorite because it covers many different topics, and Bob Proctor wrote that with me, the late great Bob Proctor, who I worked with for 7 years straight, and, I'm gonna give that away today for free, so, of course, you can have anything you want. You can have all my albums, Laura Jane,
Oh, you're so nice.
because
I just need
I've got them for kiddies too, for little baby children.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. You know, it was I'm trying to think, probably in the '80s, because I know I had my kids were driving around in the car. We used to listen to Louise Hay's Heal Your Body tape that was all affirmations to music, and it's not available anymore. I've looked for it. It's
Did
like,
Louise Hay I never ever and I knew her, I never knew that she did it to music ever.
yeah, I mean, I could sing you the songs, but you have a much more
Oh,
beautiful
no,
voice.
I never knew that. All the years I knew her, I never knew anyone had sung her affirmations. I did not know that. She used to have me work with her and sing my affirmations,
And
um,
maybe it was you that sang all of them.
maybe.
But I don't know who was I mean,
I
like,
know
I
she
don't even
used
have it.
my I know she used my music, but I no, it was the first I'd ever heard of that. But I know that she used to put music underneath when she spoke her affirmations,
Mhm.
because that does help give you a whole brain experience as well, and she was an amazing lady, amazing.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
she, like you, healed her body
yeah.
over just being able to set these affirmations. So, I definitely have always believed it to be something that would help. When do you get 100% healed? Like, I just wanna be fixed forever and not have all the ups and downs, and I know that's impossible, and the ups and downs are what keeps us strong and keeps us moving forward. As much as I have worked for years on replacing them with, um, a positive way or things that are less shameful, like, I don't say I'm sorry anymore because to me, that put me in that little kid zone of someone took your toy and you wanted it back, and I didn't wanna feel that shame of I'm being told to say sorry and I didn't do anything.
Right.
And so just little words like that, like how did you get to that? I'm just positive. How beautiful could that be? I am 90% of the time.
Well, that's more than 98% of the planet, so that's pretty good, girl.
I work on it. And when those negative thoughts come in, I start thinking, what's the positive? What's the positive? And I don't need to share, instead of yelling at somebody for not doing something how I wanted it, it's like, it's okay. My husband reminds me, it's the art of allowing. Let them do it their way and quit getting all upset over it. So how do you do it?
Oh, well, what happened to me was, I didn't intend for these songs to ever be for the public. I intended them to be for myself and my band so that we could have more and more positivity about success, being a magnet to money, so we could grow and grow and grow, be more and more successful and happier, because sometimes when you are managing a band and you're the singer, sometimes it's like a little bit like herding cats. You say you've got to be at the rehearsal by 4 when you know it's 5, just to get the guys all there because they're all guys in my band most of the time. And so it actually helped the band a lot. But what happened was some promoters found out about what had happened to me, and they asked me, they said, "Can you go on tour with these men? I'm sure you've heard of them, Dr. Deepak Chopra, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Bob Proctor." I said, "I don't know who any of those people are. And no, I'm not going to go and do my affirmation songs to I don't know what this weird thing is you're talking about." And they said, "Well, it's motivational events." And I said, "Well, I don't do that." And they offered me so much money, Laura Jane, and my band never made a lot of money. Everything went to the road crew, the agents, the record labels. We were lucky if we had $40 each to live on each week, after all the money went everywhere else. And so I said to the band, "It's only 3 weeks. I'm going to be touring right around the country, and it's going to be a lot of money that we can get new drum kits and everything." And they went, "Great, go ahead and do it." But what happened when I worked with these guys, I mean, the very first gig was in Adelaide. And there were 3,500 people on a Wednesday during the day that had paid just over $300 to attend this event to hear these men speaking. These are authors. I didn't know anything about them. And I just said, this is in the 80s. It's a huge amount of money. During the week, I'm like, "This is insane. What are all these people doing here?" And, and they knew who I was because I was a rock singer in Australia, and they said, "The audience will love it." And so they had me sing these affirmations on stage, and I'd get all the people up on stage singing along, and I just had my backing track, and I couldn't believe it. And so that night when we went to dinner, Wayne Dyer and Stuart Wilde, actually, he was the first one who said, "This is incredible. We all talk about affirmations, all of us authors. We speak about prayer, affirmation. You've done it to music. No one's done it like that. To rock music, professionally done. It's incredible." And then Deepak said, "You should do it for children." So I immediately made one called Self-Esteem for Kids for Children, with all little baby animals talking about where they come from in the world and all this sort of stuff, and they're endangered. And then when I worked with Bob Proctor, he just said, "I don't want ever to do a gig without you again." He said, "You're going to come and travel with me all over the world." So I gave my band 6 months' notice. And then I went, ended up living in Kuala Lumpur and actually ran Bob Proctor's business from Kuala Lumpur globally. And we ended up doing so many events all over Asia and US together and Canada and everywhere. And but my trajectory of what life was about, because I was making huge money doing these huge events. One of my audiences was 50,000 plus people. And I was still feeling soul sick, Laura Jane. There was still something within me, even though the songs and my talking about visualization, everything was assisting people. There was still something within me that was longing for something bigger than I was. God, I thought it was. What's God? So that's the story up to then. And then I went on a whole different trajectory.
Oh no. So when you went on this whole new one, did it fix what was missing?
Well, I never felt like anything was missing because I still did my music, and I found other musicians in Asia to work with, and I had hit records in Asia as well, singing in different languages. So I still got to perform and write songs and everything. But it wasn't until about 2 years into doing this that what happens is when your oscillation, your vibration is so positive, which mine was, and I was happy all of the time, but there was this thing I called my heart glow. I'd always had this heart glow. I didn't understand at the time that that meant that my heart chakra was partially activated. I didn't know about chakras or anything like that at the time. But then I started reading Paramahansa Yogananda, Saint Teresa of Avila, Swami Muktananda, their books, and I started understanding, okay, I am looking for enlightenment. I am looking for God. And so Bob Proctor said, yeah, he said, I had an enlightened teacher for 3 years before he left the body. He said, you need an enlightened teacher. You want to find God within yourself. So it's not an unhappiness. It's more like a soul sickness, like something's missing, that awakening. So I wanted to find someone who actually knew God. And I found out that that was enlightenment. And so, of course, I went to Japan all the time, India all the time, Tibet, because obviously it had to be an Asian man, bald or with long gray hair, right? But no, after 14 years, I found a beautiful young woman, 10 years younger than me at the time, in America who was enlightened. And I went off the grid for 14 years, all off social media, off everything, didn't do events anymore, and studied meditation with her until I became awakened. And now that's what I teach all over the world because it is the most incredible thing that we all have. You know, how could a little Aussie Australian who left school when she was 15 become awakened? Anybody can. If you are, you don't have to go to that extent. The affirmation music and doing visualization and different things like that will bring your oscillation up. Your vibration has to climb over that brick wall that you've got in your consciousness where there are still some negative thoughts attempting to peep in. And they're not your thoughts. They just sound like they're your thoughts. The Maya is very, very tricky. People are tricky. So you've got to get away from, and so just listening to the affirmation music, you don't have an opportunity, your doubting mind, to stop it. You just listen to it when you're in the car, you listen to it while you're cleaning your house, whatever you're doing, and it just goes into your subconscious mind, whether you like it or not, which is where you want those songs to go. So that's a beginning, which takes you up a mighty big step. You find that when you do hear a negative thought, something within you just goes, knucklehead, leave the building. You don't belong to my thought. You're not even my thought. Go away. I'm a positive person. It just happens naturally. But, you have to listen to them all the time, which is why we now have so many apps where it's reminding you to do it. And our new app is called True Prayer, non-denominational, 25 different categories of prayer for when people don't feel worthy or when they don't, with affirmations as well, of course, and morning meditations and everything to assist people who may feel it's a bit too religious to pray and they don't want to say Lord or God, but everyone loves to be prayed for, whether they admit it to anyone else or not. They love to have that special, special something. So we've got that going out to the world, True Prayer, it's called. And that's all the different things that I could ever think of that is required when someone's doubting mind. They can't seem to do the affirmation or even put an affirmation to music themselves. They can't seem to watch the visualization. It just is there for them. So they don't have to do anything. They just have to open their mind enough to just listen. Just listen.
And it can be background music. You're not like intently listening to have all that comprehension, that extra energy like you would in the middle of your prep for a test.
No, exactly, Laura Jane. You've got to, like I always say, mwah, keep it simple and spiritual. Don't complicate your mind. It gives you too much complications and rubbish as it is. Don't ever put yourself down. Enough other people will do that for you. Don't ever, ever do that because everyone is unique. They're never alone. Everyone is deeply loved. And it's like this, Laura Jane. We've got this diamond. Let's look at it metaphorically. Look at that as your soul or your consciousness. And over your lifetime, you get hurts and different things that happen that go deeper, really deep, even if it was something that you don't remember that happened when you were 2 or 3. It goes deeply into that and it begins to coat your soul, your higher consciousness, so you can't feel your true, beautiful self. And so sometimes you'll find yourself complaining about someone and you're like, why am I doing that? I'm a nice person. Why am I say something horrible about that person? That's not who I am. And then you feel bad because you're complaining because it's not your natural self. So the affirmation music and doing visualization assists to at least start cleaning the diamond, getting rid of those, like, thoughts that you were saying that seem to be stuck, and it unsticks them. They're like, Dorothy is witch. They're like, throwing water on them. They're like, "I'm melting."
That is one of my favorite scenes. So, can we do our own? I mean, you did your own, and I'm not musical, but if I figured out this is the one thing that I'm still struggling with, can I put my own? Here's, I'm trying to think of one so I could make it up. Still struggling to enjoy being outside all the time. I'm a fair weather person, but like, what is there some way I could sing myself? I love playing in the snow and the hot sunshine and make that so I started enjoying being out when it's not fair weather.
Yeah, there's karaoke music. So you get a song, preferably in a major key that's a happy song, and you put your own lyrics to it and sing along to it and record it. I love being out in the sunshine. It's like, I'm walking on sunshine, even in the snow. I love going outside, even when it snows. I don't know. You could do it to any song you like. And just for yourself, obviously, you can't record it that way for the world because that's royalty bound. But any song you like. But there is an affirmation song that has been written by the great James Brown.
Okay.
I feel good and I knew that I would. That song is an affirmation song that's so powerful. I won't sing it because of royalties, but I feel good and I knew that I would. Oh, what a great affirmation song. It really is. I feel good and I knew that I would. It's like even beyond an affirmation song. I knew that I'd feel good going out into the sunshine, getting vitamin D. My skin loves it. The cells in my body love to be in the sunshine.
I love your energy. Okay, so I am an energetic person. I could get that one.
Oh, my song, I Am Energy. That's on the Songs for Success I'm gonna give you. I Am Energy. I mean, I think we hit I think it was like 100,000 just last week, people listening to that one song, I Am Energy, because it's just like, whoa. You listen to that and you're like, okay, then.
Are your songs on iTunes, Spotify, or
Everywhere.
everywhere?
Every
Okay.
platform you can think of, they are everywhere.
I'm gonna be looking you up.
There's hundreds of them.
So we've talked about the affirmations, and I think that's a great place for everyone to start, to get moving those first steps into your journey of awakening. Can we talk just a little bit about what is awakening? Like I've always said I'm probably at 10 o'clock in the morning. Like to me, that the sun's rising, I can see beyond what I used to see in the dark, but it's not full noon yet. Do we ever get to full noon?
Yes, you do.
I'm looking forward to being that full awake. It's time to just do everything.
It's very, very challenging. You must have an enlightened teacher. I've been teaching meditation and everything all over the world, and when I found a true enlightened teacher who can transmit that light to you, it is unbelievable. And I've got a new audio book out that is 15 years of me teaching people how to stop your thoughts so that you can meditate and have that light and that transmission of light come into you so that you start awakening bit by bit by bit. And I'm giving that away today absolutely free to you and everyone, to the listener.
Awesome.
So that is like 15 years of work in one audio program. Because the reason I decided not to give the book to you and the audio book is because it's so much easier when these women, career women, wives, even if they're not wives anymore, they've got children, they've got all this stuff going on. At least you can listen to it even as you're sleeping, because it just goes into your subconscious mind. And as you're listening to my voice with the music and everything going with it, you can understand, oh, that's what that was. That wasn't me who was doing that complaining. That was this other thing that needed to be healed within my body. And I didn't understand it because many, many times you do not understand why you're not feeling worthy. You feel you're doing the positive thing, you're doing the visualization, you're doing all these things, and then a negative thought sort of stops your progress. And you wonder why. It's in consciousness and it needs to be released, melted. I'm melting. And so when we understand why we think like we do or why we're not doing what we know we can do and slightly self-sabotaging ourselves, whether it's health or whatever the reason, making more money, whatever it is, the women are the best at self-sabotage because we're not selfish. Well, not really. We are born and bred to care about others, and that's a beautiful thing. So women can actually become enlightened and awakened faster than men, but because it's always been on the back burner. I mean, I went to Japan once and I found an enlightened teacher who did speak a little bit of English, and I asked to be a student, and he said, "Oh no, I only take men. Women cannot become enlightened." And I just went, I won't say what I said.
Well, in other words, it was, "I'll show you."
Yeah, yeah, anyway, and so, it was really fascinating because I love Saint Teresa of Avila. Her teachings, Interior Castle, were very esoteric the way she taught it, but she was teaching about an awakening and about finding that God in you where you just go into deep samadhi, deep ecstasy, deep bliss. And once you're awakened, the main wonderful thing about it is, Laura Jane, that you don't have fear anymore. Fear is something that goes into the consciousness to remind you of the past. Oh, but what if that happens again? So you're thinking, oh, I was going to do that, but what if that happens again? Or it makes you project into the future. What if it doesn't happen? And so
Right,
once you're not thinking that way and you're not going down those rabbit holes of negativity and you're not living in fear and you're actually, time has dissolved from your consciousness, you're living in the moment, you can do anything because you're not afraid. I'm talking about irrational fear. I'm not talking about,
right,
I'm going to cross the road and prove that car won't go into me, or I'm going to go into the lion's den. They look really hungry. I'm not talking about that sort of stuff. I'm talking
right. That
about,
irrational, those things that play
yeah,
over and over and over in our minds,
yeah.
and it's like, who knows if I'm going, yeah. I have, a very risk-adverse husband, and, he always, "What's the worst case scenario and how do I prevent it?" And I'm like, "Okay," and which is fine. I don't mind it, but at the same time, I think, "Let go." Those things aren't even gonna get close to happening.
But you know something that's interesting about that, to give you a different outlook on that? When people have a family, they, um, and it happens more with men than women for some reason, they look at the risk more. Well, it doesn't actually happen with more men than women. It's just because I don't think of consciousness as a male or a female. I think consciousness is just, it's consciousness. It's not any particular sex. I think it's just that if someone looks without fear at what's the worst thing that could happen, that actually helps release fear a little bit. Because if you look at the worst scenario and it's not that bad, you think, oh, okay, well, that's the worst scenario. It's not that bad. So if you look at it in that respect rather than in fear of what will happen, it can actually help release the fear of what would happen. So you can then go for it. Bob Proctor and I wrote a great song called Risk, and it's all about releasing, it's all about taking a risk. Take a risk. Because the lyrics go, because risk opens the door to a brand new day. You'll be filled with sunshine and, you'll just feel great. It's great lyrics. He wrote the lyrics to it. And I sort of did it like I wrote the music and everything sort of like a bit of a James Bond theme. Take a risk.
It all sounds so fun, and I love the upbeatness that your voice and your attitude projects, and I'm assuming that that's what comes through in that music because those are the things our bodies have this shield around them. And if we fear the energy coming at them, it kinda tightens up, but your energy is very opening, and so we would be I think your voice and your attitude and the way you present would be very calming to a lot of people's energy fields and just it would come in. There's some things you listen to, you go, "This is dumb." So I think this sounds great, and I love just, your vision and your hope for the world and that you're out there doing it. And It's beautiful. I think ah, all of us that have that calling can learn from what you've been able to create.
Well, I know from my experience working with people all over the world, all different cultures, uh, is that, even my Zooms, we put in different languages now for people. And it's actually me speaking different languages because AI can translate me speaking Albanian or Italian or Spanish. So it's really great that we can get out there in the world. Some of the things I don't agree with people doing AI to write books and stuff. It's got to come from your heart, from your spirit. But but as far as being able to get out there to the world, the message, I think AI is great as far as translating English into different languages who may not normally get these messages. Because I have seen people all over the world from all walks of life, from celebrities I know to people that were living in absolute poverty, have been able to be uplifted by this. And we have free Zooms a lot. And I've got something called the mysticalexperience.com where people come onto all of these events and they help each other, they talk to each other, they get to know each other. And, I've got doctors, I've got different people that want to be able to teach meditation to their patients as well, because that helps release high blood pressure. It builds the immune system. So, meditation practice is a huge thing to help release stress and worry, even just learning how to breathe properly, which all our apps, I teach people how to do that. And, it's just, I'm just going to give this away quickly. If people go to micheleblood.com, Michele, blood, that's a real name. It's Irish. It's my daddy's. It's not a punk rock thing. Micheleblood.com /Laura. Well, then you can get the Stop Thought audiobook and my Songs for Success, two best-selling products that people love all over the world, and you can have them for free. And I think that's a great place to start. You don't have to pay any money, just listen, see if you can start realizing your own little satoris, your own little aha moments of where you can shift. Even just a slight shift in the way you think changes your life. Really does.
Oh, that's awesome, Michelle. Thank you so much. I know that the listeners are going to get out there and download this because there's only hope attached. There's nothing that's going to hold me back by doing it. And so that's a beautiful gift that you can share with the world. I really appreciate it.
You are
I know
welcome,
that
Laura
we're,
Jane, Laura Jane, Laura Jane. I love your name.
it sings.
It does.
I would love to wrap this up but I don't, we've learned so much about you and so I'm like, what is that thing that you want to share? But go ahead and I know you've shared a little bit about yourself. How can we get a hold of you? Is it just this one web address or do you do anything? What is it that besides the music that you can help us with?
Well, I teach meditation and I teach many things to do with mysticism that will assist people to get out of rabbit holes immediately and have success in their life. Paramahansa Yogananda was a great enlightened being, and he was a real force in America when he came to America. And I'm not any particular religion. I'm just saying if someone's enlightened, it's not really a religion. It's just someone, like the Buddha said, I'm awake.
But
And so he said, if you can mix mysticism, spirituality in with success and wealth. He said that is in India, they're missing the wealth. And in America, they're back then in the 30s for him, they're missing the spirituality. But now spirituality has become a much more open discussion where people don't go, oh, well, that's Woodstock woo woo talk. No, it's not anymore. And if you don't know what that is, kids, next gen, just look up Woodstock. Um, but it's, not hippie stuff anymore. It's real. I mean, I've got on my websites all the science behind it from Berkeley, from John Hopkins, that has been proven that affirmations with music and meditation and all these things really, really, really do work. So if you wanna know about a lot of stuff, you can just go to micheleblood.com, or you can go to the mysticalexperience.com and watch tons and tons of free videos. And we have a YouTube station which has, gosh, I don't know how many free videos and free things. It's just youtube.com/Michele Blood. But if you want to get the free things, go to micheleblood.com/Laura.
I love it. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and close out. The information about you and all these links are in the show notes. So you don't have to have say it again. Just jump down in the show notes. You can go out and get those free gifts, look at our website and the other links that we've talked about throughout the show. But Michele and I are not medical or mental licensed professionals. We are here for entertainment. People that have found things that work for us and want to share it with the world to help you have a beautiful path to your best life. So thank you for joining and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Laura Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.